Somewhere in the English countryside sits a mansion that was not built for a family. It was built for cars. No one talks about it, no cameras have been inside, and the man who owns it once triggered the largest car insurance payout in British history, then sold that same car for $12 million. One car in this collection has a Ferrari engine hidden inside a body that looks like a taxi. Another was raced at Goodwood against a Formula 1 world champion. And there is one car on this list that no longer exists anywhere else on Earth. Most people know this man as Mr. Bean, but behind the comedy, behind the awkward silence and the Mini Cooper, is someone the automotive world takes very seriously. A man who holds a truck driving license, competed in the Renault 5 GT Turbo Racing Championship, and has quietly assembled one of the most extraordinary private car collections in Britain. We are going through 10 of them. Number 3 will change how you see him forever. If you enjoy content like this, subscribe and tell us in the comments which car surprised you the most. We read every single one. Let us get into it. Number 10. 1952 Jaguar Mark 7. Most people would not look twice at a Jaguar Mark 7. It is 5 meters long, weighs 1.5 tons, and looks more like something a retired judge would drive to Sunday church than a racing car. And that is exactly what Rowan Atkinson races at Goodwood. Not a lightweight special, not a stripped-out racer. A full-weight, steel-bodied, leather and wood-trimmed luxury saloon from 1952 that he bought at a Bonham's auction in 2001. In its day, the Mark 7 was the fastest saloon car money could buy. Its 3.4-litre twin-overhead camshaft XK engine capable of breaking the 100 miles per hour barrier. But against the nimble, highly developed 1950s saloon cars it competes against today, it is comically outgunned. That is what makes Atkinson's racing so remarkable. He has entered the Goodwood revival almost every year since buying it, hurling this massive machine around the circuit against far lighter, far more competitive cars. He even finished third in the Sopwith Cup against professional drivers. The car remains road registered to this day. He once described himself as a rank amateur when it comes to racing, but last year, at the 2025 Goodwood Revival, he lined up alongside Jenson Button and Dario Franchitti in the St Mary's Trophy, in a 1.5-ton saloon car from 1952. That tells you everything about the man. Number 9. 1939 BMW 328 Roadster. Before the Second World War shut down BMW's car manufacturing operations, they built just 464 examples of the 328 Roadster between 1936 and 1940. It was a car that changed motorsport. Lightweight aluminium body, a steel ladder frame, and a total weight of just 830 kilograms. Its 2-litre straight six produced 79 horsepower, enough to push it to a top speed of 150 kilometers per hour. The 328 became a class winner at the Mille Miglia, one of the most legendary road races in history. Atkinson's example is finished in silver. He did not just park it in a heated garage. In 2011, he entered it in the Mille Miglia himself, driving the same Italian roads that the car was built to conquer over 7 decades earlier. At auction, standard examples of the 328 regularly exceed £500,000. His, with its provenance and condition, is likely worth considerably more. Number 8. 1977 Aston Martin V8 Vantage. This was one of the earliest serious additions to the collection. Atkinson bought it in 1984 as only the 3rd owner. The V8 Vantage was Aston Martin's flagship performance car of that era, powered by a 5.3-litre V8 producing around 375 horsepower. It could reach 60 miles per hour in 5.2 seconds and had a top speed of 170 miles per hour, which in 1977 made it one of the fastest production cars in the world. Originally left-hand drive, Atkinson later had it converted to right-hand drive for British roads. The car appeared in the Johnny English films, blurring the line between his on-screen life and his real one. Values for these cars now sit between £180,000 and £220,000. What makes this entry notable is not just the car. It is the fact that Atkinson bought it at a time when these Aston Martins were not fashionable, not investment pieces, and not particularly sought after. He bought it because he understood what it was. Number 7. 1986 Aston Martin V8 Zagato. If the Vantage showed his taste, the Zagato showed his commitment. Atkinson bought the car in 1998 when V8 Zagatos were not yet the sought-after collectibles they would later become. He immediately sent it to Aston Martin Works at Newport Pagnell for a ground-up rebuild as a competition car. The conversion cost roughly £220,000, more than the car itself was worth at the time. He raced it on circuit for a full decade. During one race at the Croft circuit in 2001, he crashed it, causing significant damage that required further rebuilding. Eventually, in 2008, he sold the Zagato at a Bonhams auction for just £122,500, taking a substantial financial loss against the total he had invested. But that is the point. Atkinson did not buy cars to preserve them behind glass. He bought them to drive, to race, and to understand. The loss on the Zagato says more about his character as a collector than any profit ever could. Number 6. 2002 Honda NSX. This is the car that surprises people. In a collection filled with Aston Martins and McLarens, Atkinson kept a Honda. But the original NSX was no ordinary Honda. It was developed with input from Ayrton Senna, featured a mid-mounted 3.2-litre V6 with Honda's VTEC system, capable of revving to 8,300 RPM, and was engineered to deliver supercar performance with everyday reliability. His example, finished in blue, is a facelifted model with fixed headlights and revised suspension. Atkinson once described it as a car with Ferrari-like performance that you could actually use every day. And he did. The NSX served as a regular driver, not a weekend showpiece. The fact that he kept it while selling far more expensive machines tells you what he values: engineering honesty over badge prestige. Number 5. 1989 Lancia Theurma 8.32. Very few people outside of Italy even know this car exists. The Theurma 8.32 was a four-door Lancia saloon hiding a Ferrari V8 under its bonnet. The 8 stood for 8 cylinders, the 32 for 32 valves. It was first unveiled at the 1986 Turin Motor Show and carried a small badge on the engine that read Lancia by Ferrari. Only 9 were ever sold in the United Kingdom. Atkinson owned one. The car looked completely unremarkable from the outside, a boxy Italian saloon that your neighbour might drive to work, but underneath sat a 2.9-litre Ferrari engine, the same basic unit found in the Ferrari 308. That contrast between ordinary appearance and extraordinary engineering is exactly the kind of thing that appeals to Atkinson. He eventually sold it at auction alongside one of his Mercedes-Benz 500Es. Number 4. 2014 Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG GT 300 SL. Atkinson has been photographed driving it through London, and by his own admission, getting in and out is not easy for a tall man. But the SLS AMG GT was more than a throwback. It featured a front mid-engine layout for better weight distribution and optional lightweight components. Mercedes built fewer than 12,000 SLS models in total, and values are already climbing. Number 3. 2014 Bentley Mulsan Burkin Edition. This is one of the rarest modern luxury cars on the road. The Burkin Edition was a special version of the Bentley Mulsan, named after Sir Henry Tim Burkin, one of the original Bentley boys who raced at Le Mans in the 1920s and 1930s. Only 22 units were ever produced, exclusively for the European market. It was offered in just 3 exterior colour options and featured bespoke interior treatments that separated it from the standard Mulsan. A standard Mulsan costs in the region of £300,000, while limited editions reach £500,000. With only 22 in existence, the Burkin Edition sits at the top of that range. Atkinson chose this car deliberately. It is not flashy. It does not scream for attention. It is a rare, understated machine built to honour a piece of British racing history. That is his pattern. Number 2. Land Rover Defender Heritage. After a list filled with supercars and race machines, this one might seem out of place, but it fits perfectly. The Heritage Edition was Land Rover's tribute to its own origins, finished in Grasmere green metallic paint with a contrasting white roof and classic Hue 166 badges honouring the very first pre-production Land Rover. Only 400 Heritage models were sold in the UK. Under the bonnet sits a 2.2-litre turbocharged diesel producing 120 horsepower. Top speed is just 90 miles per hour. It is not fast, it is not exotic, but it is honest, capable, and built with purpose. Atkinson put the Defender up for auction at the iconic Auctioneers Race Retro Sale at Stoneleigh Park in February 2024. Even in selling it, he demonstrated something about his approach. Every car that passes through his hands has been driven, used, and appreciated before it moves on. Number 1. 1997 McLaren F1. There is no way around it. This is the car that defines Rowan Atkinson as a collector. He bought it new in 1997 for approximately £640,000. It was chassis number 61 out of just 64 road legal examples ever built. The car was finished in a dark burgundy colour and powered by a naturally aspirated 6.1-litre BMW V12 producing 618 horsepower, with a central driving position and a top speed of 240 miles per hour. Most owners of cars this rare and this valuable lock them away. Atkinson did the opposite. He drove it to the shops, he did school runs, he put over 40,000 miles on it across 18 years of ownership. In 1999, he rear-ended another vehicle and damaged the nose. The car went back to McLaren for repair. Then, in August 2011, on a damp evening on the A605 near Peterborough, Atkinson lost control. The McLaren left the road, struck a tree and a road sign. The rear structure was destroyed. The 6.1-litre V12 engine was ejected roughly 20 metres from the wreckage. The car caught fire. Atkinson fractured his shoulder. The insurance claim came to £910,000. It took him 8 months to convince the insurer to approve the repair rather than write it off. They agreed because the car's market value had risen far beyond its original purchase price. The rebuild took another 2 years at McLaren's specialist facility in Woking. After the rebuild, he put the car back on the road and kept driving it. He did not hide it. He did not retire it. In 2015, he finally decided to sell. Not because of the crashes, not because of the cost, because the car had become so valuable that it attracted too much attention, and Rowan Atkinson is a deeply private man. He sold it for £8 million. Roughly $12.2 million. That is a profit of over £7 million on a car he crashed twice, repaired at enormous cost, and drove for nearly 2 decades. When the sale was reported, he told a journalist something that captures who he is. He said, "It was never bought as an investment. He bought it for the quality of the thinking that went into its design." That is the collection. And what stands out is not the price tags or the horsepower figures, it is the pattern. Rowan Atkinson does not collect cars to display them. He does not chase badges or auction records. He finds machines that represent something genuine about engineering, about purpose, about the people who built them. And then he drives them, hard, sometimes into trees. There is a reason his collection includes a Ferrari-powered Lancia saloon that nobody has heard of, a 1.5-ton Jaguar he races against professional drivers, and a Honda that are used as a daily driver. These are not the choices of a man showing off. These are the choices of someone who understands cars. That is what separates Rowan Atkinson from almost every other celebrity collector in the world. Subscribe for more stories like this, share this with someone who thinks Mr. Bean only drives a Mini, and tell us in the comments which car from this list surprised you the most. We will see you in the next one.